Richie, before we look ahead to Tuesday night's Bristol Street Motors clash with Bradford, a quick look back to Saturday, if you wouldn't mind. A tricky trip to Fleetwood, but you seem to come through it pretty comfortably in the end?
In the end, yeah. And it was tricky for many reasons. One, a new manager. That's never a good sign when you play against a team when it's the manager's first game back at home. So you always get a lift. You know, there's always a bounce from the fans and the players. So that's always a tricky part. You have to negate that in the first 10 or 15 minutes of that first bit of enthusiasm. You know, the early kick-off on TV, all the other bits and bobs that go with it, and just a difficult place to go. So we got through that first 10 or 15 minutes. I thought we were relatively comfortable for the next half an hour. Started the second half reasonably well, but then maybe slightly overcomplicated it, and for 20 minutes caused a few problems for ourselves. But then in terms of reaction, to go back down the other end and score, and like you say, see the game out pretty well. And at the end of the day, it's a 3 points that means no more or no less than the other 3 points that we've got. But any win away from home, 3 goals is satisfying.
Your away form has been fantastic, best in the division. What's been behind that?
I think a big part of it is trying to get over to people about winning in different ways. You know, if you look at the last few games, you've got Port Vale, Leyton Orient clean sheets. You've got Oxford coming from 2-0 down in a really difficult start. You've got the Fleetwood game where we had to see the game out and weather the storm for 20 minutes, change shape. And I think we say this all the time about, you know, the lads laugh, but to be successful, you have to win games in different ways. And I think to just assume that you can go to Oxford, Port Vale, Fleetwood, play the same way and assume that it will all be okay, you can't. So I think one of the things that we've tried to reiterate to the players is that when you go away from home, it takes different skills, different mindsets, different formations, different players, and winning away from home is not easy in any level.
You mentioned the change of shape, and you had a little bit of a new look to the front three with Tyrese John-Jules making his first start for you. What did you make of the three of them and the chemistry and the potential you saw there?
I thought for the sort of 20-25 minutes when we were on top in the first half, I thought they were a real threat and a handful, and I thought there was opportunities for us to have scored more. And then the first 10 minutes after half time, when we talked about opportunities we could create in a 3v3 at the top of the pitch, that we turned down opportunities to feed that front three where I think they would have caused bigger issues. They bought into their roles and responsibilities out of possession, so they all knew what everybody's job was, and they bought into that pretty well. So and obviously, you know, the fact that we had the 3 defenders, 3 centre halves playing, just enabled us to be a little bit more positive at the top end of the pitch, which I thought, you know, there'll not be many back threes at our level that would want to play against them on a regular basis.
Bit of a change of focus for you on Tuesday night with the EFL Trophy, Bradford visiting Pride Park Stadium. Do you need a different mentality for knockout football?
I mean, at the moment, the mentality is about winning every game. We want to win every game. We've in the sort of relatively decent run that we've been on for the last couple of months, there's been a couple of cup games in that. Obviously, you've got to win the game because there's no extra time. You know, a draw's pointless to a certain extent. Obviously, it goes to penalties, which becomes a lottery. So, but in fairness, it's not a lot different to every game. You know, I know the manager talks all the time. We never go out and try and draw a game. We never go out and go, look, if we can just stay in a game. We go out and try and win every game. And tomorrow night's game will be no different. So, realistically, I think like the last couple of games that we've played in this competition, Lincoln and Fleetwood, I think obviously were League One teams. We sort of reiterated, look, you're playing against League One teams, so we treat it as a League One game. But in fairness to Bradford City, we will be treating them with the same mindset as we would if we were playing, you know, Cheltenham or Port Vale or whoever it would be tomorrow. So the lads are in a pretty good place, and we want to try and keep winning because winning's a good habit to be in.
And of course, I don't like to bring it up, but you have lost at home to a League Two club already this season in a cup competition. Will you point to that as just a reminder to the guys?
Yeah, absolutely, because that game started reasonably well with a goal, I think, after 3 or 4 minutes or whatever it is, and then obviously it didn't go our way. And we struggled to get back in the game, and it wasn't due to a lack of respect that we paid to Crewe, because they were excellent that night, and in fairness had obviously given us a tough game the week before. So it weren't through a lack of respect, and this one won't be through a lack of respect either. But we're well aware that one of the very few games that we've lost over the last 2 or 3 months was to a League Two team at home, and we're hoping that won't happen again.